Hi, we are Team 2, Lorian, Simon, Venus, and Vicky. We're happy to share with you an analysis of WestJet and the operations management topic of strategic capacity planning, WestJet, and biojet fuel. Our analysis relates to a recent headline in the Calgary Herald. Alberta unveils $70 million for clean technology. WestJet considers biojet fuel. Let's begin. WestJet Airlines was founded on February 29, 1996 by Clive Badeau, David Neilman, Mark Hill, Tim Morgan, and Donald Bell. The original routes were all located within Western Canada, hence the name WestJet. The airline started with a fleet of 3 Boeing aircraft and employed 225 employees. In the early 2000s, WestJet had expanded and began providing service to Eastern Canada and the United States of America, as well as some overseas destinations. WestJet has grown significantly since it first started. WestJet is a public company who now employs over 13,000 employees and is the second largest airline in Canada and the ninth largest in North America. Today, WestJet operates an average of 777 flights and serves approximately 66,000 passengers per day. WestJet is a service-oriented company. They provide flights to destinations within North America and a selection of overseas destinations. The inputs used to obtain the service are the travelers and uses various resources such as aircrafts, the crew, terminals, and the ticketing systems such as the online booking websites. The transformation conversion process is the actual travel for passengers. The transportation of passengers is the service provided. The outputs are on-time flights, satisfied travelers, and the flight safety. WestJet mass produces, meaning that they produce a high volume of a standardized service focused on volume. Regardless of the traveler's destination, the service remains the same.
WestJet's strategic operations plan is built on 4 pillars for long-term success: people and culture, investing in fostering the growth, development, and commitment of employees; guest experience, consistently and continuously providing an amazing guest experience; revenue and growth, achieving an average annual compound growth rate of 4 to 7%; and costs, achieving a targeted sustainable profit margin that will be number 1 among North American airlines. This July, the Alberta government launched a $70 million clean tech innovation program to help innovators develop technology that lowers greenhouse gas emissions. WestJet is a key stakeholder in the program and are keen on developing biojet fuels. It's a fuel made from organic materials such as wood waste, bio waste, agricultural products such as canola. And they'd use this for their aircraft fleet. As a company, WestJet has been working to reduce its carbon footprint through efficient and technically advanced aircraft, but the next step is using sustainable biojet fuels. As Canada doesn't currently produce biojet fuel, WestJet is exploring the idea of partnering with other companies to set up a biojet fuel facility in Alberta. Let's take a look at how investing in biojet fuel impacts WestJet's long-term plan. For this analysis, we selected 4 fundamental strategic capacity planning design decisions that WestJet operations managers and senior leadership must consider as it relates to investing in biojet fuel and WestJet's operations strategy, specifically saving costs to maintain their targeted profit margin while increasing revenue and growth. Firstly, capacity can impact WestJet's operating costs. Jet fuel is 23.4% of WestJet's total operating costs, so they need to look for ways to reduce annual fuel costs. Investing in alternative biojet fuel opportunities could help WestJet achieve their targeted sustainable profit margin. Second, capacity can affect WestJet's competitiveness. In order to support WestJet's competitive strategy in this highly competitive aviation industry, they must explore sustainable fuel as a future option to meet their goal to meet revenue and growth targets. WestJet is a key stakeholder of International Air Transport Association, which requires commitment to improve global industry fuel efficiency of 1.5% reduction per year through 2020, carbon neutral after 2020, and a reduction of carbon dioxide emissions by 50% by 2050. Third, capacity can impact WestJet's global supply chain, adding complexity, risk, and uncertainty as WestJet has a far-flung fuel supply chain. If biojet fuel started producing in Canada, it may reduce WestJet's risk exposure to distant markets and regionalize their fuel supply chain, serving flights departing airports within Canada. The fourth strategic capacity planning design decision is substantial financial and other resources, and once committed, it may be difficult to change without major cost. WestJet has made public environmental sustainability commitments to federal and provincial governments, regulators, industry associations, airports, shareholders, and employees. And as a prominent stakeholder in Alberta government's $70 million new clean tech program, WestJet is considering with partners to set up a biojet fuel facility in Alberta. These commitments of financial resources and partnership negotiations would impact long-term strategic capacity decisions that would be difficult to change once promised and in motion. Now over to Venus to further analyze strategic capacity planning in relation to WestJet's operations management.
Thank you, Lauren, for explaining the strategic plans of WestJet. In this slide, our team analyzes WestJet operation. In the article posted by Global News this year, WestJet reported a rare loss of $20.8 million in the second quarter and adjusted some of its 2018 expectations to reflect the impact of a higher fuel cost. Because of this higher fuel cost, WestJet and other airlines explore an alternative fuel source to replace the conventional kerosene fuel, which is polluting and relies heavily on depleting oil reserve and threatens the sustainability of the airline industry. According to Wang and Tao, that the biomass-derived jet or biojet has become a key element in the aviation industry's strategy to reduce operating costs and environmental impacts. It is made from organic materials such as wood waste, bio waste, or agricultural products such as canola. In the article reported by Calgary Herald in 2016, other Canadian airlines have already flown several biofuel flights, such as Air Canada and Porter Airlines in the past years. WestJet has to come up with new strategies towards sustainable and cost-efficient fuel source in order to prevent further losses in the future, as well as gain a competitive advantage. In this slides explain the comparison of the conventional fuel supply chain and the biojet fuel supply chain. Conventional fuel supply chains are generally divided into different yet closely related segments, an upstream and downstream stage. The upstream supply chain involves the acquisition of crude oil, which is the specialty of the oil companies. Prospective processes include forecasting, exploration, production, and logistic management of delivering crude oil from remotely located oil refineries, while the downstream starts at the refinery where the crude oil is manufactured into consumable products. This stage involves the process of delivering the crude oil products to customers around the globe. A conventional fuel supply chain based on forecast. A certain volume is produced in a make-to-stock mode from available crude oil. Therefore, produced standardized products in a typical make-to-stock structure, making it a traditionally supply-led process by the availability of crude oil feedstock. Biojet fuel supply chain also comprises an upstream as well as downstream stage, starting with the conversion of plant oil or biomass into respective fuel over to the transport of the fuel to the end user, but it currently works differently. They do not produce biojet fuel to stock, but on a make-to-order basis. The supply process starts only after the order has placed downstream. In the article posted by The Economist this year, biojet fuel are more expensive than conventional jet fuel because they are produced in small batches. Also, in addition, according to Clement, lower energy, density, and price of raw materials also make biojet fuel more expensive when producing heat. In addition, Adopting biofuel will also be needing changes in the design of the aircraft engine, since there must be a dynamic relationship between the whole system, such as aircraft fuel and metering system, lubrication and seal system, as well as the aircraft cooling system. Along with this, the maintenance and sustenance of components, parts, and engine in the case of biojet fuel is vital. Are the Other than the maintenance, repair, and overhaul, other concern in adapting biofuels are its effect on the airport infrastructure, air traffic management, and airline operation. Social and environmental issues encourage corporations to find innovating solutions in creating differentiation in the market. Continuous development of the biofuel and its usage in the aviation industry will not only benefit WestJet in making an efficient supply chain management, but also will be a good corporate social responsibility strategy to gain public favor as well as competitive advantage. Next, Simon will offer some future strategy on WestJet.
Looking into the future, is biofuel a feasible alternative? The answer is yes. Biotechnology is already here and a $200 billion industry, with 20% of that already being directed towards biofuels. Neste Corp, a state-owned petroleum company out of Finland, has already successfully tested and used biofuel on more than 1,200 commercial flights. They claim to be able to reduce an airliner's greenhouse gas emissions by as low as 40% and as high as 90%. In North America, currently all United Airlines planes operating out of Los Angeles now use a mix of traditional and biofuel. To remain competitive in the aviation industry, WestJet must continue to invest in biofuel jet technology or risk falling behind and losing market share to cheaper, more fuel-efficient U.S. competitors. Without biofuel, WestJet will be unable to hit its future environmental targets. What is the future of biofuel? Production, innovation, manufacturing, and the distribution process is still underdeveloped in Canada. In the future, when biofuel is finally being produced in Canada, with the help of government-sponsored programs, of which WestJet is a key stakeholder, WestJet will need to make relationships with the biofuel manufacturers and airports to ensure supply for WestJet airplanes in Canada. The federal government has actually started an 18-month competition in August of 2018 where 4 teams can win $2 million each for the most innovative solution to producing the most economical and environmentally sustainable aviation fuel. The winner of the competition also receives a $5 million grand prize. There are some success stories in biofuel for WestJet to look towards. United Airlines and Cathay Pacific both invested in the company Fulcrum Bioenergy, which is converting landfill and household garbage into fuel for jets. Construction of a commercial facility is currently ongoing and is hoping to be operational by 2020. The plan is to turn 175,000 tons of garbage into almost 40 million liters of biofuel every year. This comes on the heels of a 2013 partnership with a company called Alt Air, in which United Airlines purchased over 56 million liters of biofuel over the 3-year period. Another exciting partnership is NASA is partnering with Lockheed Martin and are in the design phase of building a new wave supersonic jet for the purpose of public travel. The jet will be 100% fueled by biofuel. We do want to acknowledge some potential pitfalls looking ahead for biofuel. A company called Cool Planet secured $91 million in funding from 3 major oil companies and the US government to research and develop a method of developing biofuel from dead and rotting trees. While the process they developed worked, they haven't yet been able to raise the needed hundreds of millions of dollars in capital required to build a commercial production facility. Cool Planet, however, did manage to find a market for the waste product that is created in the making of biofuels. It is a soil additive that is popular with golf courses and nurseries and is currently sold in 48 US states. One of the reasons companies have been hesitant to invest is due to a well-known failure that occurred in 2014. A Pasadena company created in 2007 trumpeted a market valuation of over $1.5 billion for their biofuel company, only to go bankrupt 7 years later, just after breaking ground on their first commercial plant in Mississippi. Called by the Attorney General at the time one of the largest frauds ever perpetrated on the state of Mississippi. Why biofuel is important to WestJet's future. The United Nations International Civil Aviation Organization and the International Maritime Organization have proposed and put in place, respectively, new emission standards for all new airplanes and ships. The use of biofuel will help WestJet meet these emission standards. WestJet has increased their fuel efficiency by over 50% over the last 15 years. They have an ambitious goal of halving net emissions by 2050 compared to their 2005 levels, and are looking to become carbon neutral by 2020. Biofuel will help with all of these targets while saving money on fuel. With the success of their major US competitors using this new technology, coupled with the continual rising costs of conventional jet fuel prices, biofuel is the future of aviation. WestJet needs to get on board or get left behind at the gate. To conclude this presentation, consider this. What other industries could be impacted by Canada's production of sustainable biojet fuel? Thank you very much.